Well, good day everybody. This is Ryan Berkness here from PERC, and I'm going to take you through a crash course on showing you how I can build a website really quickly in WordPress using Beaver Builder. I'm going to an outline here. This is a draft of a flyer on the screen here in Adobe Illustrator that isn't complete yet, but it's a version that's close enough that we're going to try to build a site that will match this so that we can actually put a QR code on this particular flyer and link it back to the site so it can have a few additional things like some videos or some animated GIFs on the site to make it just easier to read. So I've done a lot of the prep work here, but this is literally building a site from scratch, like it didn't exist minutes ago. First thing I did is I went into Illustrator here, and I just pulled the colors out here because I'm going to want to use these in the on the WordPress installation once I get that done. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize that now. But this is basically what we're building to. Okay. So I also have a folder here full of all the assets, all the photos that were taken to actually create that, as well as the Photoshop backgrounds, the videos in here, and whatnot. And then I also have some PDFs from some competing companies and things like that. So the first thing I did is I actually went to Google Domains to buy a domain. My favorite place to buy domains right now is just from Google, because I can share access to those domains to a client, or a client can share access to me, and we don't have to share logins, which is really handy. So I just bought this domain, pressbreaktoolingcabinets.com. Did a little bit of research just to make sure there was no brand out there that I would conflict with, but this is literally just going to be a temporary site, and maybe they'll use that domain in the future, but for now, pressbreaktoolingcabinets.com is where we're going to be sitting. Then I went and added the ns1.gridfast.net and ns2.gridfast.net as the name servers. So instead of using Google's domain servers, we're using the Cloud Access domain servers, which leads me to the next thing. Is I actually set up with my preferred host, which is Cloud Access. There's going to be links to all of these different places in the description below. There'll be an affiliate link for Cloud Access in there because I know these guys personally, and I really love working with them, and they have, in my opinion, probably the best type of hosting platform for this, because you could literally, within a couple clicks, spin up a platform and be able to log into WordPress right from the back end here, so you don't even have to remember passwords or anything like that. That's how I usually get in the first time, is by clicking log into WordPress, which gets me into WordPress like this. And then you can see in here, there's going to be an account here that Cloud Access uses to be able to run updates. They have a smart updater, which is fantastic for running updates on plugins, so you don't have to remember to do that. And it makes you a random username based on your Cloud Access account to be able to log in. But I always prefer to set up my own account in here. So you'll see R. Berkness is in this particular one here. And I added this one already as an administrator. And what I like to do is sort of disable these other ones. And then when I add some of the security features in the future, such as two-factor authentication and whatnot, it becomes increasingly difficult to get in here and try to hack, even if somebody knows what my username is. It's much more difficult using two-factor authentication, and then the last thing I do is disable all the admin accounts that we don't need, and then have a couple of accounts that are not published out there, just to make the site extra secure. But before we do that, let's jump into the site settings here and do a couple of things here. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually put a name for this particular site, which is going to be Press Break Cabinets, or Tooling Cabinets. And I'm going to use from the flyer here, I'm going to pull this up, just some of the text here. Durable and functional, designed for RFA style upper and lower tooling. That's what I'll say. RFA style upper and lower tooling. All right, we have that in there. And I always set the time zone here to my local time zone because that makes everything work a little easier. I'm going to save these changes. Then I'm going to go into the writing section, and just make sure that looks good. I always just kind of blow through these real quick. I like to do a static home page, and so I'm going to just pick the sample page that's already in there just so that it has something to look at. We're not doing anything with posts. This is going to be a one-page site. All right, and then right now I'm going to leave this checked, discourage search engines from indexing this site. I'll need to uncheck that later. All right, discussions, I always turn off. Anyone can post a comment, but users must be registered and logged into comment. All right, I'm going to hit save on this page. Media looks good. Permalinks, I like to do this for the permalinks because I like to have the page names in there. And then privacy, there's I don't have any privacy policy information on this yet, so I'll come back and do that in a minute. But now that we have that done, we're going to start putting in some of the plugins that I use on a regular basis to get this to work. My favorite plugins right now are actually ones by Beaver Builder. And so I'm going to put in here Beaver Builder Plugin Pro. And we're going to give us that a second to install. Okay, so that has installed. I'm going to go ahead and activate that plugin. And then I'm going to install another plugin. I'm going to use the Ultimate add-on. So Beaver Builder is the main plugin that I use for page building. And then brainstormforce.com actually put out a fantastic add-on for it called the Ultimate Add-on. It's a great name. And I really enjoy working with that. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to themes for the appearance here. And I'm going to add a new theme. I'm going to upload a new theme. And I put in the Beaver Builder theme here. Oops, that's the builder. We'll add that in a minute. We're going to activate that theme. Then we're going to add a new one. And as you can see, these files that are on my computer are actually a little bit old. Here's the child theme. And so as I install them, it starts to look and see that there's new versions available, which we'll let it update in just a minute here. But I'm going to go back to plugins. I'm going to add that other plugin. I'm going to add new. We're going to do this Beaver Builder theme builder. And then that should be at least the majority of the things that I need. Next, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to activate these because you need the license key active to be able to work with these. So you can see it's asking for a license key here. So I'm going to go ahead and put my license key in here. I'm going to pause the video while I do that real quick. All right, I've got the license key. I pasted it in there and I'm going to hit save license key. That one's done. And now I need to do the same thing for here. So I'm going to grab that license key for Ultimate Add-on. And so what I've done is I've bought a developer license for this that is for both of these that are lifetime, so I can use them on as many sites as I want. And I really, if you're going to be building a lot of sites, I really recommend that. All right, so once those are in and updated, now I can go back to the plugins here. And you can see update unavailable. This is going to say that until it has a chance to really see that we're in there and we've got that plugin installed. So I'm going to go ahead and go to this page here for the updates. I'm going to select these because now you can see it's already seeing that I can do that. So I'm going to hit update plugins. We're going to let that run an update real quick. All right, we're going to go back to the updates page because it's going to do the theme next. Update the theme. All right, so now we are running on the latest of everything. Now, first things first, let's go here and we have a sample page which I set as the front page right now. So if we go to view that in a new tab here, you'll see this is the sample page, what it looks like. All right, so I'm okay with this sample page. I'm gonna just change it now. We're gonna edit this thing with Beaver Builder, but the first thing I wanna do is I wanna change the name of it. This block editor comes with the newest version of WordPress, but I just don't use it. I don't need it, don't use it. So, but one of the things I wanna do is I wanna change the name of the page to say landing page. I'm going to update that. Then I'm going to work on switching this over to Beaver Builder, which this is a new way of doing this. Okay, you know what? I changed my mind. Let's not do it this way, because I want to just basically make a new page to edit in Beaver Builder. Although if I take it and go look at the live one, let me try this for a second. Let me go live here. Yeah, I can convert it to Beaver Builder by just hitting this button here. Let's try that. So I'm going to close that now. I'm going to hit Beaver Builder, and now you can see it's saying that this is the first time. I'm going to say I don't need the tour because it's not the first time for me. I like to hit this thing here and drag it over to the side so that this is always open. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this section of text here, and I'm going to go ahead and just add in a couple of things that we need. So there's going to be a row at the top here. You see the atlas at the top. So I'm going to just add a row, just one column like this. And then we're going to be adding a photo into that row. And I'm going to go ahead and let me just make sure I have that photo available. I tried to get all the things. Nope, I don't have all the logos cut. So let's get in here and cut the logos out. So I'm going to go to Adobe Illustrator here. I'm going to open up these two logos. So I'm going to click on both of those and hit open. This is the logo that I want to use right now. So I'm going to go ahead and file. I'm going to export. I like to use the legacy save as, just because it just works better for me. I don't like the new way that it does it. I'm just used to the old way. But I am going to take this, and I always like to make the pixel count higher than it needs to be, and I'm going to export it as a PNG so I can have a transparent background. And then I took off the constraint to the artboard, because what I want to do is be able to have it just be the size of the thing. So usually the block that I build for the web page is about 1100 or 1200 pixels wide. So I want to do about half of that. So 600 pixels wide is good for me. I'm going to hit save down here, and we're going to go ahead and call this, and go to that page now. We're going to say Atlas logo 600. So now I know that's the 600 wide. Okay, we can minimize this now. And now back in here again, I'm going to go to the select photo, select this photo. I'm going to go back to tool cabinet, and we're going to say Atlas logo 600. There we have wide. This is going to say Atlas logo and the alt text. All right, there it is. It's in there. And now I'm going to shrink it down because I don't actually need it to be that size. So I'm going to go take this style, and I'm going to probably make it, let's say 300 wide. That looks a little closer. Okay, so now I've got at least one thing in there. I'm going to hit done and publish because I want to see what this looks like on the front end. So now this is the home page of the site, and I'm very happy with the way that looks. Okay, I just noticed that we're not secure right now. I'll fix that in a little bit. I need to go in here and edit that. But before I do that, I want to go back to edit page. This is now using the WordPress builder. I want to make some changes on here. I want to change this. Instead of using the default template, I want to use no header and footer, because this is a landing page. I don't need menus or anything. So if I change it to this and hit update. All right, now we can go back to the page where I want to be able to see the page right here. Now we'll see there's literally nothing but that on there. That's exactly what I want to see. All right, so now this is the one thing I forgot to do in general, is add the HTTPS in here. So I won't do it right now because it'll mess things up, but before I show it to the client, I'm going to update both of these to S, which is going to force the page to always load secure. Actually, I'll just show you right now. It's really pretty easy. You hit save on that. Now it's going to log you back. You need to log back in again. There. Now you can see this is on the front end. I'm going to refresh this page now because now it's actually loading secure. There. Quick fix. So now we can see that that's loading secure. All right, we've got the framework of this thing built. So the background is white right now. Now let's do a couple more things to the template. So if you go to Beaver Builder and we go to template here, appearance, and then go to this theme builder here, just click on customize. There's a couple different ways to get here. we're gonna start to put some presets in here just to make this thing a whole lot easier. So here we go. We're gonna go into the general and we're gonna say what the layout is going to be. I like a boxed layout for these things because I'm trying to make it look like a flyer. See now how it brings the box in, and it's gonna make the content width, let's say 1100 wide. Okay, we've got that now. And now we can actually see, I'm gonna put a drop shadow on it too, just to make it a little easier to see. There we go. Again, I'm just trying to make it look a little bit more like a flyer. So now the accent colors, this is where the colors now come into play that we brought up in here. So let's make the main accent color this red. So if I double click on that, grab this code here, and we're gonna put that into here. And then the hover color, we can make that, I wonder if we can just make it a brighter version of that same red. Let's try that here. So sometimes as you're building this, you're sort of making design, you know, call outs on while you're doing it. So I don't know if I like that. Let's try a little bit brighter up in here. I don't want it to look too pink. Let's go with a little bit more somewhere in here. But still complementary. A little less pink. Okay, there we go. So now we have that color and that color. This is the main color and that's our hover color. We can adjust those later if we decide we don't like that. Headings, this is where we can actually go in here and pick the font. So the font that was chosen for this right now, if you look in here, is Montserrat. So we're going to use that. So I'm going to go in here. This loads all the Google fonts. So I always recommend everybody do your design and using a Google font because it makes it so much easier. All right, and the color for the font is going to be this black, which I think is just straight black. Yeah, it's all zeros. So we're going to go ahead and make that all zeros. Okay. So that's going to be the color for all the headlines. And this, you can adjust some of the different font sizes, but I don't need to worry about that right now. Text, let's just see what he did for that one. For the text is also Montserrat, okay. Sometimes the font size the font is different for the text. But we're also going to use black for that. Okay. Buttons, we're not going to worry about buttons right now. Social links, we're not going to worry about those right now because we're not using this for that. Now let's talk about, we're not using the header right now because it's just a landing page. In the content area here, we're going to take the content background is going to be this white here. But what I could do is add a background image, and I'm going to consider this because I have this background image here in. This is the background image that was put out in there. It might work. Let's just see what it looks like once. So let's export this as a JPEG and see if we can get it. It does look to be kind of small though. So if we bump this up to 1200 wide, which is what it would need to be, let's see if it's going to look too grainy. Okay, it's not bad because it's going to be mostly a background color anyway. And then we're going to say medium JPEG, 66K. And we're going to try to keep these things small because it just makes it so much easier to deal with. So this is the background. There we go. Minimize that. Let's select that image and see if we can upload it now. And we'll just see what this looks like. This is going to be the Atlas metal, brushed metal, brushed metal background. Having a typing impediment this morning. And I can already see that I'm not digging how that's going to look, because it just doesn't have the same sort of look as that. It looks a little too big but let's just take the opacity down a bit here. Well, that's strange. Doesn't seem to be changing. It seems to be ignoring this. Well, let's leave it in here for now, and we can always adjust that later. Okay, so there's the content background. We're not going to worry about any of the layouts right now, but we are going to go in here to the settings, and we're going to do the site identifying thing. We need to take and put the icon in here so it doesn't have this WordPress thing. So the icon is also in here. We pulled it up right here. This is the A that we want to use for that, so we're going to export that, save for web. This needs to be, it works better when this is square. So what I'm going to do is actually adjust this document here, the artboard, put it in the middle of the screen here. I'm going to make it, well, it already is 500 by 500, that's perfect. So I want to make that square, and then I'm going to take all of these, group them together, and I want to put this just sort of, if I can, in the center as much as I can, and make it sort of a little bit bigger. Whoops. So right about, let's see, I'm just eyeballing it because it just needs to be close enough. And I prefer to not have it touch the edges, just so that nothing gets potentially cut off. All right, so now we're gonna try that export again, save for web, but this time I'm gonna turn on clip to artboard so it remembers that shape. So this is the favicon. Go back to here, select upload, favicon, okay. There it is. I'm going to select it. And the first thing it wants me to do is potentially crop it, which we're not going to do. It gives you a sample what it's going to look like. I don't need the cropping. So either one of them, if you don't actually crop it, will work. So now you can see it's got the A up there. That's perfect. All right, so we're going to publish all these changes. We're going to close out of this. Now we're back to the site here. And we've got the semblance of a page being built. If I refresh this, we can see what it looks like so far. You can see how it's separate from the background. One thing I want to do, I think, is I like it when the background color is a little darker. So let's go back in there to customize one more time, and let's see if we can find the background color here. Let's see, I gotta find where that is. Right here. So I'm gonna darken this up a bit. I think that looks better. I like to make it almost look like the same color as this Adobe. Maybe a little lighter here. Somewhere in there. There, that looks pretty good. Okay, now let's double check on the drop shadow color. I think I'm gonna make that darker now so we can see it still. There, it's very subtle, and that's what I like. It's almost like you can't even hardly see it. That looks good. All right, now we have ourselves a piece of paper on a dark background. I'm digging this. All right, we're gonna hit close on this. Let's go back to the front end here, refresh this. Much better. All right, let's go ahead and finish building this out by clicking on Beaver Builder. And now we're gonna just start plopping in the content that comes from here. So you can see there's this red bar here, and then it's got this RFA style press brake tooling cabinet. So that's what we're gonna be building out here. And I'm gonna add another row with 2 columns on it, like this, actually 3 columns. That's gonna go below. So here's that particular row. And we are going to be, you know what? I don't like the width of that. Let me fix one more thing on this. It seems wider than it's supposed to be. 1 second. Yeah, let's leave it at 1020. Okay, so we're gonna do that at 1020 wide. Back to here. All right, now we can go back to this and refresh it. Now, yeah, now these boxes are going all the way to the edge of that, so that's fine, because otherwise I would have had to adjust the Beaver Builder tool. So now I need to grab some of these artwork elements here. I need to take this and I need to basically take this and pull it out as a piece of as a PNG. So I need to grab that, and the way that I usually do it, because I just honestly don't know any other way. If you know a better way for me, just let me know. Is I open up a new document here for the web, and I hit create, and then I just plop it in here like this, and then I just make sure it's big enough, because I'd rather have it be slightly too big than not big enough. So now, because this is going to be all sort of math, I'm going to go ahead and go to File, and then I go to Export, Save for Web and Legacy. And then this time I don't need the artboard, and this is now where I can actually adjust the width. And so I know that it's about 1100 wide, and I need about 2/3 of that. So I think, let's say, if we were to say 600, that's at least twice what I need, because it's more than, well, if we say 750, that's at least twice what I need. So, and because I want to keep the resolution a little high for those retina displays. So let's try that, 750 wide, and we're going to say banner left. Okay, and now let's grab this other piece, and I just usually will delete that one. Now we grab this piece here, paste it in here, and again, it doesn't matter where you put it or what size you make it, because it's going to be sized when you do this. 750 wide, and save. And one thing I've noticed is there's a gap right here, so we might have to fix that. Banner right. There we go. Can minimize this again. So now we can bring in a photo. Before we do that, we can go to these row settings here, and we can say full width, because I want it to go full width all the way to the edge here. So now let's put in here, I need a photo for this one. Select the photo, upload the photos, select photo. I'm gonna bring them both in right now. And then we're gonna just work on the one that's left, this one. I'm not gonna worry about alt text for right now. Okay, that one's in there. And now we're gonna go save, bring the photo in here. There's the right. Okay, now we need to make this basically go right to the edge. And so if we go to the styles over here, and we say on the left side, we can have no margin there. And on the right side of this one, under advanced, no margin there. Then inside this row settings, we can have no margin on the left and right. So here's right, and then here's left. And you can see how the artwork is now showing its error of not having that, it wasn't cut properly, and so it wasn't lined up. So we'll have to go back in there and crop those. But for now, we'll have a rough cut in here. And now I can take and put in here a headline like this. And the headline says what again? I think we were going to change this to press brake tooling cabinet. Rolling press brake tooling cabinet. That's what we were going to do. So I'm going to say rolling press brake tooling cabinet. All right, and that was that same red color. So this is where we're going to start being able to put some presets now inside Beaver Builder. So I'm going to grab this red color here, cancel that, and you'll see once we get in here and we start going to style, color, I don't have any presets in here right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to put this color in, paste it here, and then I want to add it as a preset by hitting this button right here. There's my preset for that now. And now that's in there, and I can actually utilize that. I'm going to center the font. I'm going to make it bold. All right, so that looks pretty close. Now what we want to do is in here in the column settings, I want to align these so that they're equal heights, and then we're going to align them in the center. Now, all these are going to be lined up. So you can see how we're starting to build this now. you know, this could end up being a little bit larger. So I generally like to leave the fonts the way they were, but I think in this case this is going to look pretty darn good. Okay, so pretty darn close. Rolling press play cabinet. I might want to do that a little bit bigger, which means if I shrink this down and I shrink this down, I can make this a little bit bigger still. Right about there. Okay, so you can see how it's coming along. These are a little bit wider than this because the page, see how this is wider, so I could probably make this a little smaller. And there's a huge gap at the top here. I want to get rid of this gap at the top. So we're going to go under Advanced, and we're going to say the top has no padding. There we go. And I could probably take the padding out of all three of these at the top as well. Just so we can get all of them up a little tighter. And I could probably take the padding out of the bottom of this section here. There we go. Now we're seeing it's getting a little tighter. That's what we want. We don't want too much white space or empty space. Now we've got another headline here of content. So we're going to build this out, durable and functional. So we're going to save that, and now we just need one column for that down here. And I like to build it in different sections here. You can see this is a section, that's a section, that's a section. And I'll show you why at some point in the future, because it just makes it easier when you're moving stuff around. All right, now we're going to go in here and we're going to say durable and functional. Durable and functional. There it is. I'm going to center that. And that font size is a little big, so let's drop it down to an H3. Let's see how that looks. That's better. And again, on this thing, I'm going to take the top. I'm going to take this. It likes to leave a lot of space in here by default, so I don't need all that extra space. So I'm going to go ahead and bring here to the top, bring that to the top. There we go. Now we can actually bring some text in here below that, but still in that same section. And there is a lot of text here. It's not spelled properly right now, and there's some issues with that. I like to put it in when I'm copying it from something else. I like to put it in the text area, and because then it doesn't copy any of the code along with it. And then I really love Grammarly because it gives you just some real quick things that it can do in here. All right, and then when you go back to visual, I also don't like to do the editing in here. I like to have the style be taken over by the the style tab instead. So, unless you need to like make something bold in here, I wouldn't change the font size and centering and that kind of stuff in here. I like to do that here in the style because it just groups it together more. Because I think that was centered. Yep, it was centered. Now you see how it goes all the way to the edges here? I don't really like the way that looks. So I'm going to add 150 pixels on the right and left of padding to see how it comes in. And now it's almost exactly, just by adding that in lean, it has, in lean, that's pretty darn close. So I'm going to leave it just like that because I think that looks good. Font size is good, but I want to get rid of this top gap here and make it nice and tight with this. If we make them both 0, that's a little tight. So let's make this, we can use this little bar here. So right about sort of where it feels good, like that. Make sense? Okay, here we go. Now, made in the USA, we need to do that. I'm going to do that in a whole nother section here. And what I found is you don't actually have to put the row in every time. If you just pull a module out, like heading, you can see how it will, whoa, sorry, it's getting a little squirrely in here. I can put it inside this section. Do you see the gray box outside of it? Or if I drag down more, it says new row. That's what I want. I want a new row for this one. Actually, I lied. I don't want that. I want it to be attached to this one. And we're gonna say made in USA up here. Made in the USA. All right, we're gonna take the style and we're gonna center that I'm gonna also make it all caps. I forgot to do that to this thing here. Style. All caps. Now I gotta shrink this down a bit. We're getting there. That looks good. Because I think the other one was all caps, right? Yeah, it was all caps. So this one actually wasn't all caps, made in the USA. All right, so maybe we won't make this one all caps. Go back here. Just kidding, made in the USA, made Indie. So Indie is all lowercase. So these are all quick adjustments you can see. And I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna probably make it like an H4, a little bit smaller than everything else. Let's go H3. That looks good. Okay, advanced. We're gonna do nothing on the top. I wanna make that nice and tight with the text up here. At least tight enough. All right, and on the bottom of this one, we're gonna add no margin. That's too tight, so I'll probably go maybe 10. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so now we have this section done. Now I need to actually add the picture of the cart in here. And I can't very well, I'm gonna hit done and publish. Every once in a while I like to go look at it, refresh the page and just see how it's turning out. I'm happy with how it's turning out. There's a couple things I have to fix, but I'm happy for the most part with what I've got going on here. All right. So now we need to be able to bring the cart in. So in this case, I'm thinking of ways to do this. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have 3 columns. I'm gonna put a cart in the middle and I'm gonna have some room for callouts on either side. I think that'll be easiest. So I'm gonna go back to this page. Where'd my page go? Right here. And I'm gonna add a row with 3 columns. And that I'm gonna put down in here. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this other one because I'm not using it. There we go, 3 columns. And the middle one, I'm gonna put a photo of the cart, which I've already taken the time to cut that out. So I'll grab that photo from the computer here. So I think I call it cart. There it is right there, cart. There's the cart. This is the Atlas cart. Well, give it a second. Okay, there's that. And now what we can do is, I think, make it a little bigger. I want to shrink the other columns down a bit, and I want to make this one bigger. And if you grab these on the side, you can see there's a percentage that's showing up right next to it. So if I make the outside ones, let's say 30%, and then the inside one the biggest. So there's another way we could do that. We can go to column settings here, and we can say 30% on this one. And then we can go to column settings on this one, and we can say 30% on this one. And now I know that that is exactly centered. And so it'll do the math and show us that if we go to column settings on this one, it's exactly 40%. And this one I don't want to equalize height because I want this to be, you know, a standalone thing. Okay, now one of the things I want to do is I want to use this to sort of call out some different things. Easy access, different tooling. These are some of the things, you know, fully zinc plated, heavy duty steel construction. These are all the things I got to bring in on the side here. But the main thing that I want to show right now is the ability to add a photo here that is an animated GIF, because this is where it can get really fun. And I can do this. Let me see if I can find my cart animated GIF. There it is up there, this one. So here's an animated GIF that I made based off the video. This is easy punch hanging. Those are called punches. So now you can see how it's moving there. But what I want to do is, you saw those circles on the other page. I want to make this a circle and see how it turns it into a circle automatically for us. And I'm gonna set the pixel width so that it's not quite as big. I want it to have some air in there. So let's see what that looks like. So now hopefully it'll actually do the circle. If we hit P on the keyboard, we can go to preview. That it looks like, all right, so there is a bug. I just learned something about Beaver Builder. If you put, it appears if you put a crop on that, the GIF no longer animates. Yeah, see how it's not animating right now? So that means I'm gonna have to do that in Photoshop. Okay, so that's fine. We'll have to work on that. So instead of doing that right now, we're gonna go back to Beaver Builder here, and we're gonna take off this crop. And now it's just basically showing, you know, how easy it is to add the tools and things like that. But I'm gonna go ahead and make this a little smaller, and we'll update this artwork in a moment with some of the things that we want to see in there. But for now, I'm gonna go back and add a text editor. I'm gonna add some text right below this, and I'm gonna say, let's see. Yeah, easy tool. Oh, this is where it gets a little fun. Easy tool hanging. All right. And then I'm not going to adjust the styling in there. I like to do it in here. We're going to go here. We're going to have no margin at the top. And then at the bottom of this one, we're going to have essentially no margin at the bottom. Let's give it a little margin. Maybe 5 pixels. There we go. Easy tool hanging. So this will end up being a circle a little later on, but you're starting to get what I'm going to be trying to show here. All right. That looks pretty good. So then down at the bottom here, I think I want to I'm going to finish building out this section here after I've cut out a little bit more of the stuff here. But I want to start building in another view that shows a little bit more about this. So let's go ahead and add another section down here at the bottom. I'm going to just do a 2-column section down here. Whoops. That was a mistake. Let's move these. Let's remove. 2-column down at the bottom. There they are. And now the background of this, I could make it sort of a grayish color like this. Actually, that's just white, isn't it? What is that gray color? Maybe this is it here. That's the gray color there. Yeah, there we go. Slightly yellow in the yellow category, which is interesting. And I'm going to take the background of this. I'm going to say background up for this whole section here. I can say I want to have a color background, and then I want the color to be this color, which I might want to use again in the future, so I'm going to bookmark it. I'm going to add it to the preset, I should say. So now you can see how I've got this gray background here. I can go in here and make that somewhat transparent. As you see, here's the background, here's the color. And what I can do is in this section here, I can make the color a little bit more transparent so it still pulls through. So I think I'll do that somewhere around maybe 60%, so 0.6 down there at the bottom. Maybe 70. Yeah, 70. Right around there, 68. Perfect. All right, done. Now we want to add the address stuff here. All right, so this is what we're just doing as a proof of concept for this particular project. All right, there we go. Text editor, I'm gonna put it in this text mode like this, because as you can see, sometimes it puts these weird things in here that we don't want. All right, he had a telephone number. Okay, Okay, so he had it in a sort of a weird layout. So I think we'll do it like this. We'll put the... Sometimes you gotta get creative. So I think I like the way that looks there. So now we have the visual layer. In this case, I am gonna make Minneapolis bold in this because I don't want to make the whole thing bold. And then I'm gonna take and I'm gonna duplicate this. I'm gonna bring it over here and we're gonna change it to Chippewa Falls. May have forgotten it. And now I just realized I reversed these accidentally, so I'm editing the wrong one, but we can fix that in a moment. Easy to fix. Okay, so now we have this. We're gonna say Chippewa Falls is bold, and now we can see that does look good. So I'm gonna move this one over here, and then I'm gonna move this Minneapolis one over to here. Okay, so now we can see those are in there. That looks good. That looks good. Save those. So we're beginning to have some ideas for design for our factory. You know, all these different things. Now we just need to finesse those into this section here. And so, but as you can see, if I hit publish, you can see in probably 40 minutes, 45 minutes now, how I've been able to build out this page from scratch, from a WordPress that did not exist 45 minutes ago. This had nothing on it, and now if you go to pressbreaktoolingcabinets.com, it looks like this. So by the time you come back and make this video, this site may or may not be online, but just want you to see what we've got going on here so you can see the functionality of what we're able to do here really fast with WordPress, Beaver Builder, and all the stuff. So all the links are going to be below, but I'm going to pause the video now and come back and finish out the rest of the stuff on here and let you know exactly what the page looks like at the end. But for now, I'm going to stop the recording and let's see what the site looks like after I've made some decisions, because I don't want you to watch me go through and agonize how to get the content on here and have it still look nice. So we'll go from there. We'll see you in a moment. Okay, everybody, welcome back. Actually, for you, it's been essentially no amount of time, but for me, it's been several hours later. I've actually already met with the client, and here is what I was able to get done by the time we had the meeting with the client. So not a whole lot different than from what you already saw, but we just wanted to do, it's basically a proof of concept. And I only really put in approximately 15 minutes, if even, 10 to 15 minutes more of time, because what I did is I added this second animated GIF right here. And what I'm hoping to do with this is be able to make it a circle and actually make a transparent background. So it'll still be a square image, but because it'll be transparent between the circle and the edge, so it'll appear like a circle just like these down here. And then I took these images here from the same folder that I was using here. I grabbed, for instance, this shot down here where we could see that shot right there, and I just turned it into a circle. And then this one down here is this shot right here, image 536, and I just made the circle cut in there. Now, while we were meeting with the client, I have an updated file from the designer, whose name is Chris, and so this is the updated design that he had done at that point. So he was able to add some more content. You can see how it's a little bit more complete. This is basically our first draft, our first round. So I want to zoom in here so we can actually see some of the pictures that he put in here. And that's where I got the idea for this picture and that picture. That's what I added. And we're going to be doing a lot more with this page here. But for now, what I want to show you is he went ahead and helped me with these two things up here, fixing them for me. Because if you remember, on the site right now, I'm going to go back to the website. Up here, because those weren't perfectly cut, they weren't straight, there's a little gap right here and right there. We're going to fix that right now. So Chris went in there, I mentioned that to him, and he made these edges straight on both of those.
So I went over here and I already grabbed this one right here. I copied it, Control C or Command C, and then I pasted it in here and I made it bigger. And then just to see, I put it up against the edge here, and now you can see it's nice and square on that one. So we're gonna re-export these ones here. I like to use Save for Web. I think I already mentioned that in the first part of the video. We're gonna turn off this thing right here. So we're not going to clip to the artboard, we're just gonna clip to the edges. And I can't remember what size I made those. Let's just look here. For you, you probably already remember because you saw me do it. Why am I not seeing them in here? Well, that's rather strange. I should have saved them into here. Well, regardless, I'm just going to make them approximately 750 wide. I think that's what I did last time. 750. Perfect. So we're going to make these the width of 750. You always want to be just enough pixels for it to look good in the high resolution or retina monitors, and not so small that you're having to blow it up. So I'd rather shrink it down a little bit, but not make it like twice the size, because that just takes up too much space. You can see this is going to use basically 2,800 kilobytes of space for this particular file, so it's nice and small. All right, we're going to save this, and we're going to put it right in the tool cabinet folder. And we're going to say right side banner. There's the right side banner. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the first one here. We're going to say left side banner. Copy that. I'm going to paste that in here. Just going to make it about the same size. So I'm going to line up this edge here, and I'm going to drag it down to line up with this edge here. Just makes it a little easier, so there we'll be consistent. I'll just double check this one too. I'm going to bump it up against the side here and look at it. Yep, that looks nice and flat. So now I'm going to get rid of this one, and then we're going to export this now. File, export, save for web. I'm going to make it 750 wide. Oh, there's still a gap there. You see that gap? So we're going to go in here and see what that's all about. I'm going to alright, let's try that. I'm going to just bring it in just a tiny bit here. There we go. Not enough that it's going to ruin the math on our design, but enough that it should make this a little easier for us. So now we're going to export, save for web. That's got, it still has a gap right there. I'm wondering where that's coming from. Strange. I do not know where that gap is coming from. There's literally no gap showing up here. I wonder if it's just an error. Well, there's another way we could do this. We could actually work on the artboard, but for now, let's try just doing that export one more time. Let's just see if it's just ghosting it for me, like putting some sort of false edge in there that doesn't actually exist. It's showing up on here, but let's just see what happens if I export it. We're going to do 750 wide. That looks good. There's a little gap at the top, and there was at the other one too, but I don't really care about that. That doesn't bother me. I'm going to save this one. We're going to say left side banner. There we go. Minimize this. We're going to go back into Beaver Builder on here. Okay. I'm going to delete banner left, just so I'm not confused. I'm going to go into tool cabinet. I'm in the wrong section here. And left side banner. There it is. Select photo. I do see. I'm just going to cheat it with the software. There was a gap there, but we'll get that tracked down in a little bit here, because I'm going to try to get this video done in under an hour. So now we're going to work on this particular side over here. I'm going to delete this one permanently. Okay, upload file. I'm going to browse to the right side banner. Open. Select that photo. That looks good. Okay, now you can see that looks really good. Basically what I did to cheat this over is I went inside to the spacing here, the margins, and I said -1, which moves this thing to the left beyond 0. And you can do that sometimes when you want to stack things on top of each other, or if you've ever had a piece of artwork. Let's say this one, I wanted to go over the footer down here. I could actually have this footer be a negative space, negative padding here, which would bring this up and behind. And as long as I have the Z on this, the Z index higher than this stuff down here, it'll show up on top. So Z index would be a great video in the future, so we'll work on that. But here we go. This is essentially what we pitched to the client, so they could understand what we wanted to do, and the client was very happy with what we had in there. There's going to be a lot of changes to this, but I wanted you guys to see what it looks like to go from basically a completely blank website to a working one-page website, or at least pretty close to a working website, a working concept of a website in less than an hour. All right. If you have any more questions, please let me know. Otherwise, please make sure you subscribe to this channel if you're on YouTube, or hit the follow button if you're watching on LBRY right now. And we would really appreciate you sharing this video with anybody else that you think it might help. So this is Ryan Birkness from PERC, signing off.